Hey folks, so today I'm gonna do a director's commentary on the short film that I shot, wrote, and directed back in April of 2024, and it's called VÉLO. It stars my friend Isaac Zelunka, who's the lead, and a myriad of other characters, not a lot really, but three other characters, two you physically see and one you only hear. So let's get into it. I'll break down everything. All right, let's dive into it. So this shot actually was shot later, and once I started shooting this shot, which was a 2-camera shot, which was one Sony, if I can go up to it, Sony A7 III, which was the main camera, which is this camera, and Isaac's secondary camera that he had himself, which, if you know these cameras, they relatively shoot the same aspects and everything like that, but one has a higher megapixel, but that it's a whole thing. But I used 16mm for the wide that you'll see later on, and this 85 1.8 Sony native lens, and the 16mm, which roughly is like a 24 on on the full frame body that we're using. And I ran those two simultaneously. The 16 was on a tripod, and the 85 was handheld on the Sony A7 III. If you can see that, yeah. So this shot, this shot was shot on the 85 1.8, and the moment I saw and heard, like, it was just, he was actually training that day, and that's the day I got him. So he's just going. I said, I'm not here, pretend I'm not here, and just go. And right then and there, I was like, that's the beginning of the film. It's ambiguous, it's fucking weird in a good way. It misleads you. You know, one person said, oh, I thought he was having sex, but then once I saw the road, like in the next shot, and you saw everything else, it all made sense. So this was the last day we shot, and the whole film was 4 days in total. Not 4 relatively full days, but all of April I would shoot 1 day a week based upon Isaac's schedule, which is usually like midweek, and we would just run and gun it. The script was written in like less than a week, and the original script was obviously totally different from the final thing because I cut out a lot of things in the moment, and it had more characters. And to be clear, the budget of this film was, if you would consider it a micro budget. It was really, the whole cost was the equipment that we would rig onto the bike, which was just a it was a Samsung S21 FE, which was Isaac's at the time, and it was just a rig that would hook onto the front of the handlebars. And that's most of the cost of the film, was just that. So this was, the submissions to festivals cost more than the film cost. Yes, if in reality, if I were to break down my actual hours and everything like that, yeah, it would cost more than that. But the input, in terms of financial input, it was just the gear, because all this gear that I'm mentioning before is all mine, minus the A7 R3, which was Isaac's, but all the lenses and all the other gear, the tripod, we didn't get to use a gimbal, even though I had it, which was mine as well. But yeah, let's continue. So getting this shot without including any of the faces is just an 85. Shallow depth of field, really close to him. Sorry, correct. This is the 16, but shallow depth of field at 1.4. Very beautiful. And I love this shot. And this is a chest rig that Isaac already had, because in real life he's a courier, he's a bike courier. And these were all chest shots with his phone, usually at 4K or 1080. And every time he would show me these shots, I'd be like, what the fuck, dude? This is insanity. And then to match those shots with secondary shots, like if I go back, that shot in between the two streetcars on, I think it was Queen, I matched it with this other shot that we shot a week later. Matched it perfectly with the audio and Foley and everything like that. And the whole experience of adding Foley sound, because hooking up a mic to him, it was too windy and the quality of the mic was not the best, so I used Foley sound for a lot of the film, except for the interiors. Even the interiors actually has a lot of ambient noise, Foley ambient noise. But that day in this shot, we would go around to different office buildings and just walk in and walk out, walk in and walk out, get them going in and get them coming out. And there's another chest rig. And the secret of this whole thing is this location, when you go back, this office, so roughly this office, obviously the inside's not that inside, and if you know films, you use different locations to mimic what the inside would be. And this was just a regular courier office that Isaac would frequent. And then the secondary shot, which has the character Brian, who works with Isaac in the dispatch office, is actually played by my cousin Kenny. And everything in this day was all done in 20 minutes. All the lines, everything, I just gave them. I said, ad lib, this is the thing we're doing, this is part of the script. I just need you guys to flow and talk in the beginning, just talk, hang out. And they met for the first time, I think it was 30 minutes prior, when we walked to the office. And everything here is straightforward, one time, one take per angle, like the wide, the 1 and 2s, and the actual workers are behind Kenny, and to cut them out, it was like a whole thing. It was a very interesting day. And this, I didn't like the dialogue of this, so it was a hilarious dialogue because Kenny doesn't know the city that well in terms of Toronto, the names and the streets. So Isaac is asking him, hey, can I get a route to Eglinton? And then the way Kenny responded is like, yeah, you want Eglinton? I'll give you Eglinton. And I just died laughing. So I couldn't use this because also we had a limited time to use this space. But I'm grateful that we did. Props to, I think it was Justin, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, he allowed us to use this space. It's an actual courier dispatch office. Well, sorry, it's not a dispatch office. It's actually a courier pickup office. And this is Send It. Those images of all of that, that's Send It on Spadina. I believe just before Dundas or Queen, but on Spadina. And it's an actual dispatch office for bike couriers. But this conversation is hilarious to actually listen to. Yeah. But getting those reactions and just trying to get them to be familiar and happy with each other. But yeah. So for me, I always wanted to shoot in Isaac's space. It's really eclectic. He's collected a lot of things. He's into art, bikes, and everything like that. And the space is just a phenomenal space. And if you know Toronto these days, it's quite hard to find good spaces like this in good apartments. Yeah. Shallow depth of field. I love the light coming in. That's a south light facing the city. Like when you look out that window, when you look out the washroom window, that's all south. You could see the CN Tower because this is in the downtown area, and you'll see that when he's shirtless later on. That view is directly looking at the CN Tower. That's his what's it called, makeshift balcony, if you want to call it. And I made that poster, so he was, in real life, Isaac does these actual national races and everything like that. He's pretty amazing. And there's a race called the P2A, which is Paris to Ancaster in Ontario. And I wanted to make a similar race and called it, London, Ontario to, I think it was Woodstock, Ontario. Yeah, roughly, I think the same distance, or I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. So this shot was multiple days, actually. This whole washroom scene was multiple days. I would use different days to get them back into the same space, because this washroom was always like this, the light of it and everything was always beautiful to me. Yeah.
Bonjour, alors tu décidais?
And the character of Delphine, or his mom, Alex, the character that Isaac plays, that's his actual mom. And her real name, I'm blanking out right now, but that's Isaac's mom on the phone. But I recorded her one day as me and Isaac did the lines with her, and we were picking which one sounded good and everything like that. And then using audio software to make it sound like she's over the phone. Yeah.
À venir prendre de la nourriture ici? Tu sais, je te trouve un peu maigre.
And I love that because that's my pill case that I brought. All the props except for the bikes and the book stuff. The papers, this, and other things were mine that I brought in and I made, being an art director in my past life. And this is my actual pill case. That's me sitting beside the computer when I ate a banana, and I was like, oh, this works. You would clearly need the potassium, and there's this pill case, very regimented. And that's his art collection.
Oh, please don't bring any food this time.
And if you've seen that cat, that's Tebow, his cat.
We talked about this.
Those are actually real. Those vials and those syringes are actually real, but they're empty and they were filled with peptides. So I just used those as props. They were filled with water, but originally they had peptides in them.
Is he there beside you?
Non, il n'est pas ici en ce moment. Oh,
it's the 20th.
Est-ce que c'est au sujet de ta course?
And in real life, this bike right, let me see if I can go back. That is a beautiful bike. It's like this greenish, bluish, just look it up. It's a Basso. It's really sexy bike, but yeah.
It's a weekend. Trust me, I'll get a sponsorship. Please do whatever you can to get him there.
Bah, je vais faire de mon mieux.
I swear, this is the last time. Then both of you don't have to worry.
Like in these shots, these B-roll shots of him pulling the liquid and the syringe, obviously performance-enhancing drug aspects. It made me laugh because the way he was doing it, because I had to get him to do it in such a way that the camera can catch his hands and everything like that. And he's never done that aspect. I have, because I used peptides in the past, and this was like a funny way. It's just amazing to see how, people use certain tools.
J'espère que tu ne vas pas abandonner cette fois-ci si ça ne marche pas.
Once I get team sponsorship, you'll see. Thank you.
These shoes, I love these shoes. He has a bunch of these older shoes, these clip-on shoes for the bike pedals.
Je t'embrasse. Bye.
And there's this other, in the script, there's this other actual narrative where in the end he actually went to Corsica, because in real life Isaac loves going to take his bike internationally and travel, and that was an actual sticker from Corsica, hence why it was in there. But I always loved it and I always kept it. And there was going to be an ending scene where he actually went to Corsica, which was actual footage in Corsica of him riding. Yeah. But based on budget constraints and everything like that, it didn't make it into the film. But also showing him showing him where to put the syringe to make it realistic. And if people don't know, you use your side cheek, and it's a whole process. If you're a person that you know either uses insulin or whatever it might be, usually that's a go-to. But look at me, I'm not encouraging drug use. I'm just saying, to make it realistic, I wouldn't put in something that wasn't realistic in terms of sports and things like that, but also the way you would use it. You wouldn't put it in your arm. It doesn't make any sense. You would put it in fatty tissue. Yeah. And then this whole process, this is 2 days. The close-ups are 2 days. The long shot from the hallway is actually 1 full day, 1 continuous shot. And then these shots were like 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. And in the right side of the screen, it was me and the other actor, David Mills, who plays the hipster drug dealer. And me and him were telling Isaac to do certain, powerlifting or whatever you want to call it, like bodybuilding gestures, very vanity, narcissistic aspects of, But this whole stomach beating thing, he does that. That's his thing. And I was like, you have to put that in the film. That he really does like this, hype himself up. He does that, and I said, you gotta do that in the film. You have to do that in the film. And even that, like the mirror thing, he did it once, and I said, do it again. So this is him actually training from the beginning of the film. There's 2 looks he had, and like I said, when I was shooting this shot, I was like, this is the beginning. This is the beginning. It has to be.
Fuck.
Yeah. And that's just him, just like really pushing himself to the limit. Real sweat, real everything. Yeah. And then also using Strava and things like that. His real one, obviously we changed the name, but it's his real stats at that time. Because when you see his real stats, he really goes to distances, and he would tell me, oh, I went from here to here, and I'm like, are you the fuck? So it's a lot of respect to what he does, and just showing those little aspects within the limited narrative. And also the obsession with bikes. Those are his bikes, not the ones on the website, but those are actually all his bikes. And they're just beautiful, beautiful. And what he's using is very hilarious. In that shot, he's using an old gear, because he always collects. Living in downtown, and you're a very artistic person, you kind of collect these knickknacks, and he has his gear, like it's a full gear. Like, yeah, look at that. This is a funny shot, because this is when we were done for one day. I think it was the second last day, and David is sitting on his right. We were just all hanging out, and I was just dumping all the footage onto thing, and then I saw the lights were out and we're watching races and things like that. And if you can you'll see his face when I do the reverse. He's kind of like mouthing, see that? And he was like trying his best not to say anything, but I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna record this because it works for a recurring theme, because you got to establish, I guess, the basic story, establish like reoccurring things of a person is here now in this state, and then later on they're in the same mirrored state, but they're not in that same state. Like physically they're sitting on the same couch, but they're, and you'll see it later on in the film, like a callback to this framing.
Yo.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers! All good, bro.
So these shots, I love these shots.
Yo, let's get into this red light.
There's a cut, because he did this twice. There's the only 2 takes of this on his angle twice, one was from behind facing Kenny and the other was facing him and then slightly wide. And there's an audio cut, if you can tell.
Driver speeds up to pass me and make a right.
When he says right, I cut it and then he says right again on another angle, on Kenny's angle. So that's an audio cut. You can, if you have the good ear, you can hear it. But yeah, let's go back a bit.
Driver speeds up to pass me and make a right turn.
Did you not get the email?
So to clarify for those who are asking, I didn't put an email because I just didn't feel like I needed that. And the narrative to me still works. And he lost his job. It's very clear he lost his job. How or what the email said, I really want people to rack their brain of what that email can be. And I've gotten comments like, what is the email? What is the email? And I'm like, he lost his job. You just like, you go into the museum and it's like, why is that painting this? It says certain aspects, but I also want people's mind to run. I don't want to give them everything. And some people will hate that. Some people will like that. At the end of the day, I just trusted my gut with this whole thing. Yeah. Because I could have done it in post. I could have done that, but yeah.
I know they sent it out to everyone.
There are bloopers because this is the first like on-camera acting that Kenny's done, and respect because he did a good job. But there's moments where he runs after Isaac but then looks back at me because he's not used to when somebody says cut, like he assumes that's a shot and then he turns around like it's done, but I go no, I'll call cut. But he did that twice and it was very funny. I'll show bloopers like later on. But I love this. This is still amazingly good. Both of them did an amazing job. For literally the little time we had, and everything was off the dome.
Where you going?
And here Isaac did a good job. I said, listen, go cry. Just let it out. And just vibe and let it out. You know. From the music to the Foley sound, because that's not him riding the bike, that's all Foley. If you saw this, it would be like this. And then I added the Foley and the music and everything like that. Same thing with the shower. Like the real shower was very loud, and this is all Foley sound. Foley sound, if people don't know, it's like people in studios would recreate the sound that they're seeing in the best possible way. And then there's also on top of that, there's ambient noise, there's music, and they're all supposed to be at a certain level for you to hear, but not enough to drown out. But you can work with that. Yeah. And when I first started editing this scene, that audio, when I first laid the track down, it mirrored perfectly when he cupped his ears. Because I did the initial cut, the video cut first, and then when the audio came on, I was like, holy shit, the universe is sending me a blessing. It just put it right there, that weird, shimmering, creepy thing that happens when he cups his ears. I'll go back a bit. All Foley sound with the buzzing. So I'm trying my best. This was in the same tight washroom, and I was trying my best not to get my lenses and everything wet because I really wanted to like go in. And this is all shot on 4K 24 frames at 100 megabits, I believe, per second data rate. And it's big, beautiful files. And one day I'll release the full 4K. But this is all 1080, but even in 1080 it's just amazing quality on this 85 mil. And then all these like graphics on his phone, this is his phone, all these graphics on his phone were made in post. Like they're physically there, they're in camera, but I made them prior to that day, like the night of, these text messages and things like that as little videos, and I would upload them on his phone.
Your account is past due in the amount of $218.81. If you have already made this payment, please disregard this message.
It's Delclit.
And the name, I remember I was like, I gotta pick a name for the landlord. And I did a name auto-generator thing, and I was like, what am I gonna call this landlord? And then that name came, and I just died laughing. I'm not gonna, I kept it. But yeah.
I have no clue what's going on, Alex. But you're late. Again.
So this is like my voice, but modulated in a different way.
This is not a good look. You got till the 15th, buddy.
You're professional, punctual. I know the city better than anyone. Better for the environment.
I'm sorry, but we don't use bikes.
Why didn't you say that before? I thought you were hiring bike couriers. Point A to point B in 6 minutes. I can fix a flat in 2.5 minutes.
We use trucks.
What do you...
And then this is me I put the camera on a tripod. This is the 85. And I would tell him, what would you tell if you truly, what would you tell like an interviewer if you really lost your job? Like, what would be the selling point of you being a courier? Like, and in reality, in Toronto, there's very few bike couriers, and hopefully there's this documentary going to happen down the line where it talks about the courier, or messy, as they call it, industry. And it's because nowadays people see Uber Eats and things like that. That's different. This is a total different thing. This is classic bike messaging. And there's a film a while back, I think it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt was delivering a package. You can probably find it online. But real bike messengers. And I'm not going to disparage, people that deliver food, but it's a different culture altogether from what I've learned over the years from Isaac and all these other people. It's crazy what they do, and all the street footage, that's all real and just insane. Yeah, but yeah, this is I just said go for it. Just say, and how would you impress these people, but also be a dick about it.
Talking about? Well, you could have just been straightforward
because in reality he's a really lovely guy.
with me. No, I don't drive a car. Fuel's expensive.
Sir.
We're faster. We're more efficient.
We do not
We
use
can carry
bikes.
large packages.
I don't
You guys
think
don't
you
want to reconsider.
understand.
You know we're the better option. Can your drivers do that?
Please
Can I...
don't.
What about your...
Je suis désolée, mon fils.
Wait, listen.
Peut-être que ton père avait raison.
I just need some...
Mon fils. Viens nous rendre visite?
So these shots were shot on the Sony A7 III, and were shot on basically this FD lens that was so amazing. It's an old one that I found a couple of years back, and it's 58 1.2. Like, it's gorgeous. And that shot of him always in front of the computer, I would always use the same lens because it made his face look amazing. It was like the shallow depth of field. It had its own like atmospheric haze that you would typically use on either, because I had a Tiffin filter, I had the Pro Mist on most of the other lenses, but this one didn't need it. Yeah. So in this, I was the one actually doing the typing. This was like obviously separate Foley sound from me. I was on the computer, I was doing all the typing and everything like that. And yeah, it's pretty interesting too when you get a different perspective. Isaac's not really typing, he's like miming. But he is in front of his computer in reality. But it's just, I needed the screen to be on to give him that ambient light. Originally, that was going to be a different bike. It was another one that was more of a road, not a road, but cyclocross. And if those that know, I've learned it in the last couple of years, but it's like cyclocross is when they ride in the mud and everything like that, whereas this is like more of a road bike. Yeah.
Hey, you stubborn fuck. You finally picked up. I got a job for you if you're up for it.
So we finally see Dave's character come in, and props to Dave because he came in the one day, he did his lines, he banged it out, and there was at least 10 takes from 3 different lenses on this. That was an 85 from far away, and then this was the 16 mil or equivalent to 24 in a full frame body, and he killed
Sure
it.
you want to do this, my man? Brian told me about you. Seen some wild vids. You're crazy. That's good.
And
What's
a
the
funny
pay?
note, so that's Spadina down there. If you know this mural, that's Spadina. And this is like a very well-known like alleyway. So a guy during one of the takes came in and pissed in the right side corner behind Isaac. And I had to move the camera because we're limited time, obviously next to no budget. And I was like, we got to get it now. As long as the guy doesn't make any noises, I don't care if he pisses. So he pissed that corner, and it's not this shot, but it was one of the shots that we used. But people would pass by that alleyway and they would look into what was going on. But luckily, whatever you want to call it, the gods favored us that day, even though we took a couple of takes. Yeah.
Well, it's enough, alright? But if you fuck this up, just saying.
E-transfers.
Originally, I was supposed to play this role, and thank God Dave was perfect for the role, because I didn't want it like a stereotypical like you know typecast nonsense. And Dave was like perfect because unassuming, the opposite of the typical stereotype, which is more or less, it's from my perspective, this is perfect because he just looks like this weed like guy, and the perfect cover for like a serious drug dealer.
Look, this
Like very hipster Mr. Rogers, hence I gave him the name. I told him wear the cardigan and everything like that. He picked the perfect shirt. It was pretty good.
is your trial run. This, and then we talk some more.
And every time Dave put that bag, which is technically just flour, on Isaac's chest, because Isaac had a mic on him and Dave had a mic on him, if you can't see, which is pretty amazing. I'm grateful for that. Like, that's some magic there. But on Isaac's mic, once Dave hit him, it just popped. And a lot of the audio is Dave's mic picking up Isaac. But I also had my own boom mic.
Just shut the fuck up, deliver, get.
Fuck.
Tiba makes an appearance behind him. There's that flower, just wrapped in a plastic bag with like painter's tape. And luckily it's black and white, so you wouldn't see the discoloration. Even his outfit is different, purposely for the night route, like when he takes on this new journey into this dark but profitable realm. Like, I love this shot so much, and if I didn't use the 3:4 aspect ratio, there's a lot going on in this shot, which I love, but it still works very well. And that's actually his bike, and that was a good day because it was not windy. The natural sound and the scene worked really well. Like, a lot of these like shots in terms of the phone were like pickup shots, like just me hanging out editing, and I was like, oh, we need more of this, and then I just made it on the spot. Like, the night shots I love, because like I told them, you're a different person in these night shots than you are during the day. During the day you're more serious, you're still death defying and doing all this crazy shit, but you're more loose and confident at night. And for a cell phone to do that footage, it's pretty cool. And this shot was on the Sony cameras, but it was like couple of seconds cut, so me and Isaac would just put different gear that he had on the table and just kept doing couple of seconds cut. There's that outside shot from his washroom, actually, looking out into the city.
C'est moi. Ça va bien, et toi? Ben oui. Non?
And then that shot, this is the best shot that we got from this one, but Thibaut did not want to move, so I said,
no.
Isaac, just go sit
No!
down.
I don't need
He's
anything.
like, just sit down no matter what.
I'm working hard. Trust me. So this week is the 20th. I can't wait to see you guys at my race.
Et il n'éprouve plus la nécessité de venir à ta course.
And the crazy thing, like, not crazy, but like in a good way, these shots that were a lot more like lower angle were by accident, because the rig was a little bit loose that day and it just kept going a little bit lower, tilting a little bit further. And then when I saw the footage, I was like, did you set it up that way? And he's like, originally it was higher, but it just kept sinking and he was losing light. And I was like, no, this actually works perfectly. Stylistically, I love this shot. I love this shot stylistically. Because there's a lot of long shots in this, like continuous shots that I love. But it's also economical if you can get your actor to just do their whole lines and everything like that in one shot. It was a longer shot because he did the whole process of delivering and everything like that, but I cut it shorter, you know.
Can you spare some change?
No, man. No thanks.
Come on.
I love that bike. I kept it there the whole time, but yeah, this is in the same day as the first day we shot the washroom scene from this angle. It's the same. I never moved the camera. It was on the tripod. I just left it there, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do the second half of the film and we're gonna shoot it again. But this is you doing, and this is a one take, all one take. And he really cried. He really cried, and it was really good. But Thibaut, if you pay attention, like I said, limited time, limited budget, limited everything. And Thibaut was actually, you'll see the cat jumping down, and he uses the litter box. Like, I was hesitant to tell people that, but it's funny to me because Isaac kept going, but the audio picked it up because the boom mic is actually sitting in the tub to his left of him. It's on a stand and it's facing him, but it picked up Tebow in his litter box. It's hilarious.
Hey Mom, I love you. Just come Saturday, okay? Just you. I don't care if he doesn't come. I love you so much, Mom. I'll pay.
Like, even that thud that Tebow did worked so perfectly in between his dialogue that I cut it out in audio editing. It would be a thud because that floor is like, it's an older building, so it's like, it made a loud thud.
Back for everything.
And he's really crying. There's actual tears coming out of his eyes.
Everything. I'm not a fuck up. I'm not a failure.
You can kind of hear Tebow going ch in his sand, in his like his bin.
Everything's gonna change after Saturday. After the race, everything. I'm not a crappy son. I'm really, really, really grateful. Please just come.
If you look closely, like the 1080 does show the tear coming out of his left eye. And in the 4K you see it because the way it's originally shot is 4K, 16:9 full.
I love you. I love you so much.
And if you're wondering, this shot was taken on the 85. Like, I had this lens for so long. It's beautiful. 85 1.8 Sony native full frame. And with a Tiffin Pro Mist filter, 1.4 filter. Yeah.
Please come.
He wasn't planning to use these shots. This is just him coming back to the spot. And they worked so well. They worked so well that I had to use these shots. They're just beautiful, in my opinion. So that's me handheld looking at him in this hallway, like going up these stairs. And then it's also my voice, but I did it in, if you want to call it, I think it's ADR, you know, after the fact is my voice, modulated and everything like that.
Hey, bro.
No, man, I'm good.
Let me see what's in that bag.
Huh? What?
Come on.
No, man. Get the fuck out of here.
What's in that bag?
What the fuck's your problem?
Come on,
What?
tell me.
No, man.
And yeah, the audio effects made me laugh every time. It was hilarious. That shot is him in his bedroom floor with a towel behind his head, and I have this heavy duty construction portable flashlight, and I would put it into strobe mode, or I would like shine it back and forth on his face. And the makeup, originally I was doing his makeup, and then he's like, I'm gonna do it. I was like, okay, fine, go for it. It gives me more time to focus on other things, because it was just me and him. Majority of this whole film is just me and him. I'm doing all the crew work, camera, direct, all that stuff, making sure we're on time. Like, it's a whole thing. But yeah, and then I was like, just do this, go for it. And then all that graphics, phone graphics and everything like that, yeah, the night before. But the sound is obviously added on Foley sound. Yeah, see the makeup and everything like that. That was all him. Kudos to you, Isaac. people don't know, in reality, some of these bikes that people buy are not cheap. They're not like a typical bike that I would personally buy. I think the most expensive bike that I've ever had was a Norco, and that was like $800 at the time. But these professional bikes, in reality, if you look them up, they are in the thousands, in close to, at times, close to tens of thousands just for the frame sometimes, depending on the brand. But this is just a static shot on a tripod. Each frame, we would take a couple of seconds. I would take a bike out that door where that in the top right would be, and I would say, okay, I'm going to take a bike out, keep typing, now look back, and then I would just cut it in post and just keep doing that for each bike and put the Foley sound of a mouse clicking as he's, you know, selling them. So there's like little old school film tricks that you do, things like that. And when he was buying things on the table, like there's little reoccurring tricks that I used because it's, you know, budget conscious and it allows for the narrative. Yeah. I love this because we made fun of this scene a lot because he loves his bike so much. It's like, but it's also using like that frame, like this frame right here for the poster, because it's kind of like, and for a moment it reminded me of that painting, I think it was Michelangelo's painting of God and Adam, like he's about to touch the finger but God's in the brain type of thing. So there's this finger thing, like, yeah. And Isaac being into the arts as well, it made sense to me.
You've reached the voicemail.
These scenes had a lot more scenes in them. He was doing, to me, we were walking around Spadina and he had the makeup on and I was like, you have a cast, we're not going to show the cast because that's not in our budget. I'm going to get you from thigh up and you're going to walk like you're in a cast of some kind and you're going to limp. And it looked like he was doing Michael Jackson's Thriller at a certain point. And I think down the line I'll show some blooper scenes and things like that. For me, this was all a fun experience and just to see if you can do it with little to no budget, and it was a fun experience for me and for the crew as well, which is mostly me, but the other actors as well who helped, like Dave helped, Kenny helped, Isaac's mom helped, Dominique is her name, and Isaac himself. So it was a very, to me, I'm grateful for all of them because this was just, let's just write a script, do it in 4 days, shoot it in 4 days, not consecutively, but each week once a day, and then edit it in roughly each week I would edit it, but the last week was a lot of editing. And I made a makeshift deadline to just beat my ass and just keep going forward. And, you know, so it's a beautiful experience, but there's a lot of images and scenes that didn't make it in that I do love, but I'm okay that they're not in there.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Like watching people, like this audio right here from Brian or the actor Kenny was literally like on the last day, like the week I was editing of the last week, and I met with him because he doesn't live in Canada, and we recorded these lines and other ones previously, the first act, all in the car. I had my phone, I had a good mic, and we would just record and we're like, yep, got it, done. We were done in 10 minutes of a couple of takes and we were done. So it's all amazing. Everyone was amazing. I couldn't have asked for, you know, better people.
What happened, Alex? I'm sorry, man.
But then the people walking by, seeing him with, because the makeup is more pronounced when it's in color, because it's more red, and he did a good job blending with the nose and everything like that. And people were staring because it was just me and him on the street, and Dave was hanging out behind me. As long as he was behind the camera, I was like, I don't care what you do as long as you're behind the camera, that's cool. And people were walking by and like looking because he's limping up the road. I loved it.
Up. I didn't expect that to happen. To be honest.
And if you're wondering, this was shot on the 16 mil 1.4 Sigma.
I wish I never hooked you up with that guy. I want to make things right though. If you want, you don't have to, but if you want, I got a job and it's legit. And it's more your speed.
So much respect to this bike shop who let us in, and we shot this scene and all the B-roll of it in 15 minutes. Like a lot of stuff except for the interiors of the apartment and things like that were all on the spot. Just like, let's shoot here. Can we get here? Let's do it. And they allowed us, and it was amazing because they know Isaac. He's a frequent person there, and they were super nice. So bless them. Yeah, Urban Cyclist, respect to you guys. Amazing store. Thank you so much. And I just told them, just wander the store, you know, do what you do naturally when you come into the store. You're obsessed with all this bike gears. I know, like all these tools and everything like that. I know you would want to buy them, but just like go crazy. And it worked out perfectly. So it looks like, obviously the whole goal is like he works there now, you know, with his leg issues and everything. He can't race, etc., etc. So it worked because he was just perusing everything. And they allowed him to be behind the counter. I was like, just, you're bored now. Your life is not speed demon risk taking now, but you're still in your mind, you know. Foley sound. Always love it. Like, there's such high quality Foley sound out there. So all these road shots are me on my bike in my neighborhood where I live, and I just pointed my cell phone to the road and just recorded at 60 frames per second and slowed it down. So in reality, Isaac's character does get the sponsorship, but that's also a real bike company, like a racing team called Bateman's, and that's actually Isaac's real team in real life. So Isaac really does this for real life. The film had no name, it was untitled. And with the time and everything like that, I was like, just call it Bike. There's a French character, French Canadian, not French Canadian from Quebec, but French from France, who was also Canadian. And I was like, just call it Bike. You know, sometimes you don't have a title for things and you just like, yeah. But yeah, it worked out. Yeah, much respect to everybody. Isaac, his mother Dominique, and yeah. And thanks everybody for watching me rant about a film, this micro-budget film. And I'm sure there's people that love it, there's people that hate it. That's all right with me. I'm okay. And if you have any questions or anything like that, or you want to know more about the film, comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, the whole deal and everything like that. And this is essentially a film that was made under, I would say, $80, really. And with no crew, really, other than the actors helping out in certain aspects, like Isaac and Dave and Isaac's mother, who did the voiceovers in terms of recording and translation. So all respect to everybody who helped and all the work they've done, and crazy hours, a lot of crazy hours, and a lot of experience from my past that allowed me to, you know, pull a rabbit out of a hat type of situation from my perspective. And love it or hate it, it's a test, as all short films are. They're just to see if you can do things, to see what you can do with what you got. And if you're trying to create something, as my advice is, just do it. Just sounds like a Nike thing, but I'm serious. Just create, see what you can do, and just keep moving, because short films are just, just showing people what you can do and get you in the door. All right, till next time, I'm Ismail. Peace and love.